The official match ball for the 2026 FIFA World Cup is called the Trianda. It runs on a battery, and it needs to be charged before every match. That detail, the first rechargeable World Cup ball in the tournament's history, was announced by FIFA last month as a technological breakthrough. A connected ball, a smart ball, sensors inside tracking spin, trajectory, speed, data feeding into VAR systems in real time. It is a genuinely impressive piece of engineering. It is also, if you've been watching this tournament's build-up from the beginning, an almost perfect symbol for where things stand 11 days before kickoff. A World Cup ball that needs to be plugged in before it can be used. A tournament built with remarkable technical sophistication and a nagging question underneath all of it. What happens if someone forgets to charge it? That question, what happens when the infrastructure fails the spectacle, is the one this tournament is answering in real time. Not on the pitch, in the hotels, in the airports, at the borders, in the legal offices of 2 state attorneys general, and in the quiet decisions of millions of fans around the world who looked at everything this tournament was asking of them and said, "Not this time." Today, May 31st, 2026, 11 days from the Azteca opening ceremony, let's go through what the data actually shows. Start with something specific, something that arrived this week from an unexpected source. The American Hotel and Lodging Association, the body representing more than 32,000 hotels and 80% of franchised properties in the United States, issued a formal economic warning. Not a projection, a warning. It said the anticipated economic lift from the World Cup may fall short. It identified 2 causes. The first, fewer international visitors than projected. The second, and the one that created the most industry anger, FIFA canceled up to 70% of the hotel rooms it had reserved in Boston, Dallas, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and Seattle. 70% gone, without adequate explanation, without replacement demand. Evan Saunders of the travel analytics platform Azira described what those cancellations actually mean beyond the headline number. Tens of thousands of room nights vanished, he said. That's not just lost room nights. That's people dining, taking taxis and Ubers, shopping, buying gifts, hosting corporate events. There's a whole economy that evaporated. FIFA's response was measured. All room releases, they said, were in line with contractually agreed timelines. Standard practice, nothing unusual. Here is what standard practice produced. 80% of American host city hotels report bookings tracking below initial forecasts. In Kansas City, a city that projected 650,000 visitors and restructured its summer hospitality industry around that expectation, demand is trailing a typical June or July with no World Cup at all. In Boston, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle, 70% of hotels report booking pace below expectations. In Dallas, hotel rooms advertised at nearly $400 a night in December are now listed at $250. Baird Equity Research projected in December that the World Cup would lift U.S. hotels' revenue per available room by 75 to 100 basis points. This week, his senior research analyst told Newsweek he would revise that down to 25 to 50. His stated reason was direct: hesitancy from foreign travelers to come to the United States. Now let's talk about the flights, because the airfare picture carries a specific detail that changes everything about how you understand the demand shortfall. European bookings for July 2026 travel to the United States are down 14.22% year-on-year, according to Cirium, the aviation analytics firm. Frankfurt down, Barcelona down, Amsterdam down, Paris down, Munich down, Athens down, the cities with the deepest football cultures, the fans most historically likely to travel for a World Cup.
And here is the detail that matters. The US dollar has fallen 12% against the euro compared to last year. America is 12% cheaper for a European fan in 2026 than in 2025. The exchange rate is working in their favor, and they are still not booking. Cheaper to travel, and 14% fewer are coming.
That is not a pricing story. You can't explain it with currency movements or ticket costs alone. It is a story about a feeling, about whether people believe the experience of arriving at an American airport, navigating a U.S. border crossing, and spending several weeks in a country whose global relationships have shifted significantly is the right backdrop for the thing they love most. Cirium's spokesperson was measured about it. Difficult to ascertain with specificity, could be any combination of factors. That careful language is how data firms describe something they can see clearly, but prefer not to say directly. And U.S. domestic airfares, for American fans trying to get to host cities within their own country, are up 20.7% year over year, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index published this month. A flight that cost $100 last year costs $120 this year, on top of ticket prices that rose an average of 34% between October and April, on top of transport costs at MetLife Stadium that run $105 for a 15-minute train ride. The arithmetic of attending this World Cup for ordinary fans in the host country has become brutal, and for the fans outside it, it has become something closer to prohibitive. Now let's talk about the fans who aren't just discouraged, the ones who are formally locked out. 4 qualified nations have fans subject to travel restrictions that make entering the United States impossible, or effectively so, without pre-existing visas: Iran, Haiti, Ivory Coast, Senegal. Jibril Gay is a Senegalese fan. He spoke to the Associated Press about what this means. If the United States, he said, is afraid of football fans, it has no right to host the World Cup. That sentence, spoken by an ordinary supporter, not a politician or official, captures something that no policy document quite manages to articulate. The World Cup belongs to the fans who love it, and when the host country cannot accommodate the fans of 4 of the 48 competing nations, something fundamental has broken. Beyond those 4 nations, visa processing was halted for 75 countries in January 2026, creating backlogs and uncertainty that made planning a trip incompatible with the timelines of a football tournament. And beyond that, the general climate around U.S. border crossings, the stories shared through supporter communities about lengthy questioning, about experiences that felt unwelcoming, about the calculation of whether visibility in a public space during a global sporting event was worth the personal exposure it might bring, has had an effect that no statistic fully captures. Arlington's Convention and Visitors Bureau president said it plainly: anti-U.S. sentiment is a major factor in slower hotel demand in the city hosting more World Cup matches than any other. The host city for the most matches at this World Cup is suffering slower hotel bookings because the world doesn't feel welcome there. That sentence should be somewhere in every preview of this tournament. It largely isn't. And then there is the legal dimension, which is the newest and sharpest part of this story. On May 27th, 4 days ago, the Attorneys General of New York and New Jersey issued formal subpoenas to FIFA. Not letters, subpoenas, demanding internal documents about ticketing practices at MetLife Stadium, about whether fans were misled about seat locations, about whether the dynamic pricing model and its 34% average price increase violated consumer protection law, about whether the artificial scarcity created by FIFA's ticket holdbacks was disclosed to the buyers it affected.
New Jersey's Attorney General described what fans experienced as a gauntlet of confusion, fake scarcity, and impossibly high prices. New York's said fans should be able to trust that the tickets they purchased would be the tickets they received. One fan, Brett Prudzinski, sat in an online queue for hours, paid over $500 for 2 seats, checked the seat map, confirmed the location, and received a confirmation email placing him somewhere entirely different. He spoke to CNN. His story is one of hundreds of similar complaints. FIFA has not issued a substantive public response to the subpoenas. The investigation is ongoing. It will run through and beyond the tournament itself. This is the shape of the 2026 World Cup 11 days before it begins. 80% of host city hotels below forecast, 14% fewer European flights booked despite favorable exchange rates, domestic airfares up more than 20%, fans from 4 nations locked out, a tournament ball that needs charging before every game, and 2 state attorneys general with subpoenas. And yet, the squads are named. Messi has been confirmed in Argentina's 26-man roster, Scaloni submitting on the June 1st deadline, today, as expected. Neymar has a grade 2 calf injury that his team doctor says he'll recover from in 2 to 3 weeks. His opening match against Morocco is June 13th. The arithmetic is tight but possible. The USMNT squad was confirmed last Monday. Pulisic, McKennie, Tyler Adams, Balogun, Reina given his chance. Tonight, in Charlotte, the U.S. plays Senegal in their final tune-up before June 6th in Chicago against Germany. The football is almost here. The players are ready. The matches are scheduled. The Trianda is presumably charging somewhere in a storage room beneath one of 16 stadiums across 3 countries. And what it will produce when it rolls, what goals, what moments, what stories the sport will write for itself between June 11th and July 19th, none of the hotel data or flight statistics or legal filings will change. But the people who won't be in those stadiums, the Senegalese fan who said if America is afraid of football fans, it has no right to host, the hotel operators who structured their businesses around a windfall that isn't arriving, the fans sitting on tickets worth less than they paid, with no refund and a subpoena investigation running in the background. Those people are the World Cup too, the ones in the stands and the ones who couldn't get there. And their absence, quiet, measured in percentages, documented in reports from trade associations and investment banks, will be part of what this tournament is, whether FIFA acknowledges it or not. What do you think this tournament ends up being remembered for? The football, which will undoubtedly produce extraordinary moments, or the context around it, which has produced something unlike anything we've seen in the build-up to any previous World Cup? I'd genuinely be curious. Leave it in the comments below. If you found this worth your time, a like helps more than you'd think. Subscribe for more of this kind of football conversation. I'm here every day until July 19th, and I read everything you leave below. The ball is charged. The tournament begins in 11 days. Whatever happens next, we're watching together.